Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Gallagher, and welcome to today's session of the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your schedule. The series is designed to help K-12 educators reimagine education with Blackboard's teaching and learning solutions. The K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series harnesses the power of our K-12 community of academic leaders, teachers, and other experts to provide relevant, real-time, on-demand, and ongoing professional development opportunities for K-12 educators. My name is Katie Gallagher, and I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Blackboard's Teaching and Learning Products, and will serve as the moderator for the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series. Thank you to Misty Cobb, our Senior Solutions Engineer, and Colleen Smith from the K-12 Marketing Team, who will be helping to answer questions today in the chat and in the Q&A. We'll be joining you for the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series this fall. We're always open to new ideas for topics for this series, so please let us know if you have an interest in presenting in a future session or have a topic that you'd like to see. You can always email me at katie.gallagher@blackboard.com. And just a little housekeeping as we get started, if you could use *6 on your phone line to mute the line. We record each one of these sessions and want to ensure a very clean recording. We'll definitely welcome you to unmute your line or use the chat and QA at the end of the session for questions and answers. So as we move on, just a reminder, every webinar in this series will be recorded. You can search for the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series playlist on our YouTube channel, or use tinyurl.com/K12 to find this series recordings. After each session, you'll receive an email with a link to the recording as well as a copy of the slides in PDF form, and you'll receive an invitation from me to join an online professional learning community that's designed to augment this series and create an avenue for ongoing collaboration and dialogue. So be sure to accept the invitation and participate in the online PLC. As you can see, we have many exciting professional development sessions lined up this fall. Be sure to join us next Monday as well for Blackboard Skills to Pay the Bills with Jeff Simmons and Lisa Berry from the Idaho Distance Learning Academy. That will be next Monday. You can go to the URL at the top of this slide to register for this session or all the sessions within the series. And be sure, if you haven't done so already, be sure to download the new Blackboard K-12 Live app. All the sessions of this series will be fed into that app so that you can access PD anywhere, anytime. You can also catch the best of Blackboard World from this summer. So we're really excited about this new app to support professional development initiatives. So thank you all for joining us today. We're very excited to welcome our speakers today. We have Aleigha Henderson-Rosser and Krasandra Holmes, who will be guiding us in conquering the polar vortex, embracing virtual learning days using Blackboard. So Aleigha serves as the Executive Director for Instructional Technology, and Krasandra serves as the Digital Learning Specialist in the Atlanta Public School System. So we're very excited to hear from them today. Their information is here on this slide. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Aleigha and Krasandra. Thank you so much both for joining us today and sharing your expertise. If you could start out by introducing yourselves and sharing a little bit more about your background and role, that would be great, and then we can move right into your slides.
Okay, hi Katie, can everyone hear me?
Can you hear us?
We can hear you great.
Oh, great.
Aleigha, I think you might have just muted yourself, actually. I'm not hearing you now.
Am I unmuted now?
There you go, yep.
Isn't it great? Technology is everything, and being the Executive Director of Technology, I should know how to unmute myself. But welcome, everyone. We're excited to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Atlanta Public Schools. and really what kind of came out of necessity. But I'll give you a little bit about my background. I've come to Atlanta Public Schools actually from a neighboring district, DeKalb County School System, but happy to be here. I'm going on my 3rd year here in Atlanta, and it's been a wonderful ride. In DeKalb, though, I started as, of course, a teacher, as most of us have. I was a 8th grade science teacher for about 7 years, and you know, I think that's when my innovation started, and I wanted to do a lot more with my students, and ended up exploring instructional technology as an instructional technology specialist there in the district, working with teachers to integrate technology into their classroom lessons and doing lots of district-wide training. From there, I moved into the administrator for the online academy role, the high school. It was the first digital high school that we had there in the district, and we worked with a lot of neighboring districts to start our online high school there in DeKalb, so that was a lot of fun. And then I moved into professional learning. So and in that role as a coordinator, I built our professional learning e-campus. So we started online learning and training for all staff in the district. And DeKalb has about 96,000 students and about 16,000 staff members. So that was a lot of fun. So I have a lot of experience training teachers, working with teachers, building programs for students, and even building PL. So that's a little bit about my background. And then coming to APS, I just really brought all those skills and experiences over here to, you know, work with the students and teachers here in Atlanta Public Schools, which has about 56,000 students and about 6,000 staff members and faculty members. So a little smaller district, different types of challenges. We're definitely an urban district. The district is mainly Title I, I think, with the exception of maybe 3 schools. But great place to work and great place to do a lot of innovative things. I'm going to turn it over to Krasandra so she can give you a little bit about her background.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Aleigha shared with you, we are very excited to be able to have this opportunity to share with you some innovative things we're doing here in Atlanta. This is my 19th year, all in Atlanta Public Schools. Yay for me, right? So I started as a teacher for 5 years, and then I transitioned into instructional technology. And in the last few years, I have served in a dual capacity. I'm a digital learning specialist, as Katie has mentioned during the introduction. But also I have been on special assignment growing the Atlanta Virtual Academy. And this is our 2nd year with the Academy. We now have about a little over 2,600 students, so we have seen exponential growth since last year, and we offer 48 courses, and of course Blackboard is our LMS. So we're doing a lot of things new to the district. In addition to providing courses for our students to recover credit or to accelerate learning, we also have a e-professional learning. That's another initiative that we're beginning to launch this year as well. So we hope you enjoy all the fun things that we're going to share with you today, and hopefully give you some insight as to a non-traditional way of making up content where students are out of school. So I think with that, Aleigha's going to go ahead and get started with the presentation.
All right, and if I'll just interject really quick, we will be sure to be watching the chat and the QA boxes throughout the presentation, so don't hesitate to post questions throughout. Aleigha and Krasandra, we may prompt you during the presentation, but we'll definitely hold time at the end as well. So keep those questions flowing, and thanks, everyone.
Okay, great. And Katie, as we get ready to answer questions, remember we can't hit send, so if you could work on that for us in the background, we're happy to answer any questions. All right, so we'll get started. Welcome again, Atlanta Public Schools. You know, this department underwent a transformation of its own, our instructional technology department. So we work to really provide tools and digital information to our staff members and our students in a different way. And we're excited to do so. I mean, a lot has been going on in our district. Krasandra mentioned the Atlanta Virtual Academy, which is where we started our partnership, and I really do like to call it a partnership with Blackboard. They've guided us, they've led us into doing some great things for our students here to recover credit through our virtual academy, to also provide AP courses throughout the district. I'm sure we're not the only district that has an issue with teachers who are AP certified and having a shortage, but this way we're able to reach a lot more students, providing gifted training. And we've started just within the last year or so providing professional learning through Blackboard. And that's what you'll see a little bit more of today and how we use Blackboard, I guess even in a non-traditional sense. Most of us who are using an LMS, you know, have a sole purpose for it, you know, either professional learning or virtual high school. This particular event that happened in Atlanta caused us to look at Blackboard in a different way. And so we're not sure how many people were actually in Atlanta. If you were, please feel free to just, you know, type in, yes, I was here during the snow apocalypse 2014. It was an interesting time, and it really did, and I know the nation kind of laughed at us after it was all said and done, but it really did come out of nowhere, and we really were not expecting it. So we're going to play a quick video to kind of set the tone for what was happening during this particular day and at this particular event.
Oh, Christy, we see that your sister-in-law was stuck in her school. Yeah, there were several of our friends and colleagues around the city. They were stuck at the school all night, too. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my desktop real quick, and I'm hoping you guys can hear this video. We're going to just play a quick clip just to set the scene for what was going on.
Of cars and trucks as far as the eye can see. Look at your screen here. These have stranded passengers in a paralyzing winter storm. This is, of course, one of America's biggest cities. So joining us on the phone is Ken Davis. He's a public affairs director for the Georgia Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Davis, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Allison, Bill.
I'm sure you've heard the stories. People stranded in their cars overnight for 12 hours and more. What is the status of the interstate there right now?
Well, there's still a lot of congestion, a lot of vehicles and people stranded out there, but our priority has been, since yesterday, is to get that stalled traffic moving, get these stranded people home, and also the remaining school students who had to shelter at schools last night.
What of them, Mr. Davis? Are kids still stuck at their schools?
There are some at various schools, simply because their parents are still stranded in trying to get to them. However, progress is being made. The governor has directed State Patrol and Georgia National Guard vehicles to escort school buses in areas where traffic can flow now to begin some of the deliveries that couldn't be made yesterday. And so progress is being made, but we still need people, particularly in Metro Atlanta, to stay off the roads, and we need them to definitely, if it's absolutely unavoidable for them to travel, to stay off of the interstate system so that the plows and other equipment can access the interstate and treat the ice.
I mean, we're looking at the pictures here.
So I hope that video was able to play for everyone and you all have an idea of what the roads look like. And if you look at even this picture, the sun was out. It was actually a very beautiful day. And Krasandra and I we'll just kind of go into our stories and what was happening that day. You know, they did mention that we would have snow and there was a chance of snow. We didn't really hear it's actually going to snow, but a chance of snow, some snow flurries. And we're not, snow flurries happen every now and again, and, you have a few car accidents here and there, but it's not crippling. So snow flurries we weren't as concerned about, but that's what the weather predicted. So around 12 o'clock, we started to see the flurries outside of our building, and we are in the heart of downtown Atlanta. We are less than a mile from the Capitol, the state capitol. So our building is actually located smack in the middle of downtown. So when you leave downtown, that's the hub, and then you have all these interstates that take you out to the suburbs, which is, of course, where a big majority of the schools are and a big majority of people live. So we see the snow flurries. I tell Krasandra, I'm not leaving yet. I've got a meeting. Probably last another hour. I'm going to my meeting. I think, Krasandra, what were you going to do?
Well, it seems like we were still just trying to wrap up because it was a novel for us to say, oh, my goodness, it's snowing, because we don't get a lot of snow in Georgia. So initially, it was just excitement and like, oh, wow, look at the snow. Right. So there wasn't a sense of urgency yet.
Right. And so my son's school called me. He's a fifth grader now, but he was an awesome fourth grader then. And my son's teacher called and said, okay, they're going to start dismissing early. Is there any way you can come and pick him up? And I thought, oh, gosh, okay, well, I got another meeting. I'll get there when I can. And my husband calls, who works for the city of Atlanta, and he says, I think you may want to go ahead and pick up our son, because it looks like we're really preparing for like a big thing here. But we don't see it. All we see here are the flurries, so we're not thinking a lot about it. And I would say Krasandra and I both were probably 20 minutes shy of being where Christy's sister-in-law was and being stuck on the roadway. So that just kind of sets the scene for what was happening, and just the fact that people did not think about the fact that we would have gridlock traffic. And so as a result of that, we're sitting home now. This is the following day. And we've probably been home for a couple of days, I think, at this point, probably 2 days. And we're rounding up on a third day, and our associate superintendent calls, and she says, okay, well, if we have to stay out longer than 3 days, we're going to have to start, we're going to expel or expound all of our snow days. So we'd already been out one time prior, and so this was kind of like the second snow apocalypse that was happening. And so we're coming up on missing a whole lot of days of school, and she wants to know, is there a possible way that we could make these days up without adding days to the calendar? So, and if you're also in the metro area, I'd like to hear from folks. You can just type in the text box, some of the options that some districts took. So we started looking at, the State Department is saying, okay, you guys really do have to come up with a way to make up these days. I think we had about 6 or 7 days at this point. How are you going to make up this instruction? So schools in the area, some of them tacked on 30 minutes to the end of the school day.
Saturday,
yeah.
They had school on Saturdays for a few weeks.
Right. I think people try to do, I think, if you had a professional learning day in your calendar, let's go and look at that being a school day or converting that back to a school day. We had exhausted just about everything, and our teachers were adamant, and the community was adamant about not extending the school day an extra amount of time. And if you think about it, that's transportation, that's daycare for families. So that really wasn't an option for our district. I don't know what and I know other districts did do something similar. So, but for the most part, if you're in instructional technology like we are, you're kind of on the peripheral of C&I. You hope for a lot of interaction with them, and you hope for a lot of collaboration. That rarely happens, though, I think, on a regular basis. So to have this, our associate superintendent call us from curriculum instruction and say, okay, Aleigha, what can you and your team do around this? I called Krasandra the same day, and I said, okay, it's go time. We're on,
right.
We're on stage, you know, and we were excited to be able to brainstorm around what we could offer as a solution. And they were going to take these solutions forward. So, you know, as I found out, a lot of different people were contacted about these options for makeup days to present to our board. And so we looked at, you know, the different resources. How could we use Ava? You know, we're thinking, okay, we got to make up all of these days. What can we do? So we began to collaborate and actually plan with our curriculum and instruction department. We had a few working sessions with them.
Right. The digital learning specialist, there are 3 of me. So I'm a digital learning specialist for social studies. So I primarily work with the social studies coordinator. So when we started putting all of the plans together, all of the digital learning specialists, one of our charges was to sit with them and help identify the power standards, you know, to look at our scope and sequence and get an idea as to what content specifically that we need the students to make up. So that was very fun. It was very innovative for many of them. This was their first time ever seeing anything about, you know, virtual content and you know, having an opportunity to explore within Blackboard. So it was a learning curve across the district because outside of, as Aleigha mentioned earlier, outside of those who work in Atlanta Virtual Academy, no one else really had any idea as to really all the things that we do with Blackboard and, you know, the power of virtual learning and having students an opportunity to make up work this way. It was a very novel idea. It was really unprecedented. Never happened before.
And so as we're working, and if you think about this, we're working with our digital learning specialists for each content area along with our content coordinators for that area. And we have to consider who is the audience that we're trying to reach. It's every teacher, every student, every school. And there was only one tool that really allowed us to do that, and it was Blackboard for us to be able to deliver a lot of this virtual content, and in a meaningful way. So outside of just providing, you know, a ton of links or a ton of video, how can we really make this powerful learning? Because, of course, we want our students to do well on the formative assessments as well as summative assessments and not really miss this content for, you know, due to the snow days. So we really had to look at how we were going to approach this. So we started thinking, even from a marketing, communication, and branding standpoint, what do we need to do? And so you're looking at a little excerpt from a flyer that we created. And we just began to use these particular icons, inclement weather makeup materials, that's what we were calling it. We outlined who, where, why, how, and if you see that little piece at the bottom, you know, this is all of the information that, you know, we knew schools would ask the question about. And so we went forward and we said, okay, let's just go ahead and lay it out on the line. This is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. And so actually prior to this flyer, it went to board. Our board members approved the virtual makeup days. We had a lot of momentum around it, and I think part of the reason, and at this point we will take any reason, part of the reason was because the community just really did not want to extend the school day, and they really did not have another option. So, but we will take that win however we can get it. And so we were excited to be able to now showcase what our department could do and what the power of Blackboard was going to be. So this is an example of our flyer. We even created a website to match the flyer. So I'm going to navigate and share my screen with you guys to show you our website and all of our materials. We created a one-stop shop for anyone that had any question around what we were doing in terms of making up these days in Atlanta Public Schools. So as I'm getting ready to navigate to that, if you've got any questions, please feel free to put those in the text box. And here is our website. Oh, someone's calling. So this website, it exists now on our department page, but it was on our home page for Atlanta Public Schools. So it was the first thing that you would see when you would navigate to our home page. It was there as a link that was at the top of the page. We even had it on what we call our rotator. So we really wanted people to be aware that this is there, and to the community as well, this is what we're doing. So you can see that our icons match what we had on our flyer. So it was very important to brand this. And so when you saw these little icons and what this looked like, you associated that with our inclement weather days. And so for 3 through 5, you know, we did some links and some different things for them. For 6 through 12, we had specific materials. And I want to show you what our student portal looks like, because this is where we led students to go to, and teachers, to get into the snow makeup material. So this is our student portal, our teaching and learning portal, rather. We call it My Backpack. And our students and teachers went to what's called the Connected Classroom. So that is actually very different from our AVA, Atlanta Virtual Academy, link. So it's 2 different links. Atlanta Virtual Academy is if you're taking a course with AVA, we want you to go here. Connected Classroom, on the other hand, is our blended learning space. And we've been working on blended learning here in the district for maybe just a few schools here and there, but the inclement weather days kind of blew that up quickly. When you say, Krasandra?
Absolutely. That's what gave it legs.
Yeah.
Because we had some teachers intermittently using it, but to make up the school day, it was just this whole marketing, this push campaign. So it was like, great, now every teacher will have an opportunity to experience the Connected Classroom.
Right. So Connected Classroom is actually tied to our SIS system. So whatever your school schedule is for middle and high school, you have a blended learning space that matches that class. So if you teach biology first period and AP biology the second period, you have a biology first period space for all of your students, and Blackboard did help us build that out. And then your second period, you have your AP biology virtual space. So every teacher had this space. It existed for them already. They may not have known that it was there, but this is where we decided to build our inclement weather makeup sessions and our information for the teachers to be able to use with the students. And so when you click on 6 through 12, it would take our students to an icon for the Connected Classroom. So again, I'm actually back on our web page that showed the community, you know, exactly what we were doing. There's the link to My Backpack, and you just saw that a second ago. And then here's the Connected Classroom direct link. So in a second, Krasandra's going to even show you the sample course that our parents could go through just so they could get involved and see what some of this learning looked like for our kids. So when you go to the Connected Classroom, and I won't take us through all the login information, but you click there from My Backpack, and that takes you to our Connected Classroom. And here, you know, there was an opportunity to talk about what Connected Classroom was and why you would use it in your classroom. And so we have this space here for teachers. We even have a help section that has a lot of videos to Blackboard and how you can create and do various things in Blackboard. And of course, a link to My Backpack. So now I'm going to turn it over to Krasandra so she can show you all what we built out in Blackboard for teachers in every school, remember, in our middle and high schools, specifically to use, and how she collaborated and led the work with our content coordinators.
Okay, so from here, I'm going to go right into, let's see, Aleigha, I know you have it up somewhere. Okay. I'm just going to go right into the actual course. This is one of our sample courses. I'll just search here for snow. But remember the screen that Aleigha just shared with you where it had sample course? From there, when parents went to just click right there, it would take them right here. This was their welcome parents and students to the snow makeup materials. And what we wanted to do was just to make sure that parents had an opportunity to preview what content looked like, the type of experiences that their students would engage in by doing this work. And then we just gave them kind of like 4 steps. How can you help my child complete these assignments? You want to make it fun and exciting while you're working with them. Make sure they had access to the technology. Talk with them about the lesson or about the learning that took place. And then, of course, provide an environment that was conducive for learning. Now, this was really the easy piece. The lion's share of the work was actually getting the virtual content into Blackboard. As I mentioned earlier, outside of individuals who had experience with, Atlanta Virtual Academy, our content coordinators, many of them had never seen virtual content. They had never really used Blackboard, so it was certainly a learning curve for them. So a lot of our work, we had to make sure that in order for this to work, we wanted to have as much information built and ready to go. Because we did not have enough time, I would say it took us we had about 2 weeks to turn all of this around. So we were really moving fast, but we wanted to make sure it was quality, that it was accessible, and as Aleigha mentioned earlier, that it was authentic learning, not just, links and just videos, but really things that were aligned to standards that would give students an opportunity to make up the missed work. So in our institution content, working with each content coordinator, we sat down and we pulled out the scope and sequence. And after we identified exactly what those power standards were, we actually created the snow day makeup materials. And if you click on that link, every content area had its own folder because we wanted this to be organized. And again, this was like the platform for the connected classroom to take off. So aside from just providing opportunities for the snow makeup, we wanted this to continue and transcend to blended learning in all of teachers' courses. So we wanted to make sure that every content was addressed. So I'll just click here with the English Language Arts. So with the English Language Arts, we had a folder beginning with 6th grade all the way through 12th grade. So whatever you taught, you would just go through, find your content area, click on it, and I'll just click here on 9th grade ELA. And once you clicked on it, you would actually see the modules that are required in 9th grade literature. And we used the content from Georgia Virtual. It was free. We knew that it was already aligned to our standards, so it was a great way for us to really capitalize on the content that was readily available for us. So once you clicked here, once you chose a module, you would just scroll down and you would find the index file. So as you can see, there was certainly a learning curve for it, and everything is in alphabetical order. And once you actually found the index file, we downloaded the package and we saved it. And once that information was downloaded, we selected and download the package. It would download, you would save it to your file, and all of the teachers would come into the content area, and this is where they would actually build the link and put the actual file for that particular module so that students could actually access the content.
And I want to kind of talk about why we chose to do it this way and try to close that learning curve for teachers. You can imagine, we've got, 16 high schools, maybe 15 to 20 middle schools, and we're talking every content area. As much as we probably would have loved to be able to do that for each school, we also recognized in talking with principals, because we did include them in this process, that schools wanted autonomy to cover the standards that they may not have gotten to at that point. So you may have a super duper teacher that has gotten to a lot of the power standards and may not need all of that content loaded into her particular space, his or her space. So we did leave some autonomy there for the schools, and so setting it up this way allowed them to go through and choose, but the lessons are there for them. The digital content is already available, and I think one of the barriers with using blended learning for teachers is they have to have time to create the multimedia pieces to go into Blackboard. So we could go to a resource like Georgia Virtual School, our state virtual school, and pull that down and say, here's a great plethora of resources, pick what you need from these things. That gave them some buy-in into the process and some autonomy to do what they needed to do for their students at their school.
Then we also wanted to make sure that students who did not have access to technology, how are we going to make sure that they received this content? So we partner with our homework hotline. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this, Atlanta Public Schools, we have our very own television station, and we have full-time teachers who work down at the station, and they provide content for students. So we partnered with them to make sure that they had hard copies of the material, because many students in our district, the time that they would actually do this work would be after hours. So working with them, having that opportunity for them to call in and to get assistance from the homework hotline, that was a critical piece, and it was very important that we address this need, because our curriculum and instructional leaders, they wanted to make sure that there was equity across the district, whether you had access to technology or not.
So that's our setup for what the back end, quote unquote, looks like, and our organization of the information. So we did really want you all to take a quick look at that. And at this point, do we have any questions around how we set this up and what we were doing?
No questions. You all are mighty quiet out there.
Feel free to type in the chat. The moderators can at least see the chat, or in the Q&A box. Everyone can see in that. Or you can use *6 to unmute your line and speak a question. We really like these sessions to be more interactive.
Awesome.
So we'd like to open it up for questions. This has been wonderful so far.
We'll wait a little while just in case there are questions coming. And I'll talk a little bit about my backpack and how our students could use this in conjunction with Blackboard. So students have access to these tools. So if teachers were asking them to possibly create, a presentation, or, they needed word processing software, these tools are actually Office 365. So this is Calculate is actually Excel, Notebook is OneNote, Present is PowerPoint, and Word is Write. And every student in the district has an Office 365 account, as well as a Being Safe Search engine bar through our portal. So this is right in line with Connected Classroom. And so if there were homework assignments that kids needed to do as a result of participating in the Connected Classroom, they did have access to Office tools or software to be able to participate in class on the various assignments. So I just wanted to point out that Backpack and Connected Classroom worked in conjunction together.
Great. Now, I do have a couple questions. They're starting to come in. The first one is from Sandy King, and she's asking, how did you deal with students who did not have internet access at home? And I have some other questions as well, but let's start with that one.
Sure. We partner with the Homework Hotline. We have our own television station here, and we have certified teachers who work down at the station. And for students who did not have access at home, they could just call in, and we provided hard copies of the content to those teachers. So every student in Atlanta Public Schools, whether you had access or not, you had an opportunity to participate in the connected classroom in some capacity.
I hope that helped.
Yeah, that's great. This is a similar question. I think you just answered it, but is the homework hotline 24/7?
No, the homework hotline, there are specific hours, and I want to say it may be from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Just recently, we partnered with Homework Hotline to show them the e-classroom so that they could have, if you had students that called in and had access, they could actually demo some things for the kids using Connected Classroom. So we just recently showed them the e-classroom tool that's within Blackboard, and they can work now with students to work through some problems and do some things if kids have access. For those that don't, they still would receive those paper copies, and Homework Hotline could walk them through the steps and assist them kind of in a tutorial fashion with the work.
Great. Couple more questions. First one is, how did you provide training to the teachers in the use of Blackboard and to add modules to their Blackboard classes? And then just the next question is, they'd like to see some additional content from your classes. So go back to the first one. How did you provide training for teachers in the use of Blackboard and how to add modules to their classes?
Okay, so in our department, we have 15, at that time we had 15 education technology specialists, and they are assigned schools. So on average, they probably have anywhere from 5 to 7 schools. They were charged with meeting at the school, whether it was during the day, during teachers' planning sessions, also during staff meetings. There were after-school meetings. So at best, each school could count on face-to-face direct training with their ETS 3 different times, depending on what that schedule was like. So the approach was very targeted. We spent a lot of times modeling, going into the classroom with them, showing them how to actually pull down content. I created a whole training manual on how to use Blackboard, how to access virtual content, how to add those modules. So everything was packaged for them. So when the education technology specialists would go out to the school, we had all of these training materials printed for them, but we also made sure that there was a lot of guided instruction and modeling to make sure that they were clear on how to use Blackboard, log in, how to access Georgia virtual content, and how to pull the modules down, and even how to navigate within the Blackboard environment.
And the purpose of these educational, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to add this, and I think you were just given this, Aleigha, but if not, please tell me. We have also developed some new classes at Blackboard that we provide to all of our customers. One is getting started with Blackboard that you can use as is, or you can use it as the basis for like a training like Aleigha described. And another one is called 5 Ways to Blend Your Class with Blackboard. And those are 2 free classes that are available to our K-12 customers that we provide and can put in your environment. I think you have those, right, Aleigha?
Yes, we do have those. Yeah, we do.
They're new as of this summer, so just thought I would mention that.
And those are going to be a big help because that, of course, helps us with our human resources and what we have available. And again, I feel like we're very fortunate to even have 15 educational tech specialists. I know not every district has that, and their primary work is to work with teachers to integrate technology into their everyday lessons. And so, but all work ceased and desist unless you were focused on getting these snow makeup day materials. So literally there was a blitz from those 15 people on the district in terms of getting teachers gathered around this work and understanding what to do. So that was part of that. And I think the second question was around what did we use, some of the course stuff that we used. Is that correct, Katie?
Yeah, they'd like to see some additional content from your classes. There was another question that followed up the classes that I just mentioned, though, from Blackboard. So if any customers are participating in the webinar and you don't have those yet, shoot me your name and email and your district name, and I will follow up with your rep who will work with our solutions engineering team to provide those classes to you. So we'll take those names, and the sales team works with the solutions engineering team to provide you those classes. So just let us know if you don't have them and you would like to.
So here's an example of the types of resources that were loaded for our teachers. This particular set of digital tools was American Literature and Composition. And you can also see this actually from our parent course. That's how I got here, so I'm going to show you guys. We talked about, let's see, what our, let me try to navigate to that right fast. So from our department, you can get to this information. So here's the virtual inclement weather makeup materials, and we had a parent sample course. So that's what you're about to see now. So here's the sample course, and you click on it. Parents don't even have to log in. There's an option in Blackboard to have a guest log in, and so that's what we used for this, for them to be able to see exactly what the content was. From there, and I'm going to use my Google Chrome instead of Safari because my Flash is not working on Safari, of course. So this takes us into the course, American Literature and Composition. And again, we got this from our Georgia Virtual Learning School. And this, if you're in Georgia, it's a great resource. It exists for everyone in every single middle and high school area. You can just kind of pull down some of these digital things, digital tools. Very interactive. So here is an introduction into the colonial literature module. And they could roll over the tabs to view some of the vocabulary. You even have the option to play, and I won't play it because we're on a webinar, but to play some information. They have a module minute. Reading assignments, click here to review all of the reading assignments for this module, and then literary terms for the project assignments. So what teachers were able to do was to go through and say what they wanted their kids to complete. And again, interactive. We still wanted the content to mean something, not just a whole lot of links, not just a whole lot of video, but still, you know, the type of interactive learning that we as technology folks know that we could produce, but necessarily don't have the time to produce. So I must say, you know, the star in all of this, of course, is the digital content that we were able to procure from our state virtual school. Again, interactive quizzes, things that the teacher could definitely extend into the face-to-face class if they needed to. And I want to kind of go back and show the handouts. We talked about our homework hotline. There are handouts that are accompanying each one of these modules. And so kids, of course, could download the module on their MP3 player. If you didn't necessarily have a laptop or a tablet, you could still use an MP3 player as well. And our homework hotline folks had access to all of these things too, these files. So this really did make it a lot easier for us, but having a way to deliver this information across the district in such a short amount of time helped us to be able to come up with that organizational structure that Krasandra went through and an easy way for folks to go through and kind of cherry pick what they needed to focus on after our content coordinators vetted all of these digital resources. So I hope that helps to answer that particular question.
That's great. Yes, thank you so much. Let's see. I'm looking to see if we have any more questions here. We've had a lot of great questions through the session. So here's a great one. I think you've addressed this a bit because you've mentioned using Georgia virtual classes, but are all your online classes developed in-house? So maybe you could speak to the ones you're developing in-house as well as other sources that you're using.
Well, we have a combination. I would say that we have hybrid courses here. We have some that our content specialists, they actually create, and then we also have purchased quite a few from Florida Virtual Academy. And then we also use a lot of content from Georgia Virtual as well. So from those three resources, that kind of makes up what our virtual content looks like.
Great. Any other questions from the group about the content? And are you working with North Carolina Virtual at all? I know you had some early conversations with them this summer.
No, we're not working with them. As we were just developing our program, we just researched a lot of districts who were doing innovative things, and that was just one of the districts where, there were some pieces that we certainly wanted to implement into our virtual academy. But we don't have any type of collaboration or partnership with them.
Not yet. It's coming.
Okay. The next question, I'm not sure the context. Were you able to determine if this helps the students? Is the question with respect to if intervening through kind of virtual learning days help the students, or where they're leveraging content? I'm not sure the context of the question, so maybe we could get clarification. But let's start with, do you have measures of success for whether or not this approach helps students?
I think there's so many variables, and we know this in education, that contribute to whether or not, how successful a student is in their summative assessments. I'm assuming that's probably what you meant. Summatively, no. And I think it'd be hard to quantify how much we contributed to that. So the success I like to measure by is that we were able to say that we did not miss the amount of instruction that we were slated to miss by missing 14 days of school. We provided something that was convenient, something that was, we hope, was doable and interactive, and did not pose some type of imposition on the district. So that was kind of our measure at that point. I can't say that because they did, the power standards on Blackboard that we really helped, affect summative testing data. But we had great feedback from our teachers that participated and that were engaged in it. And a lot of folks kind of just said, hey, I want to use this now in my day-to-day class next year. How do I get access to this? So from that measure, we were very successful in that we've really extended our blended learning program this year as a result of people participating in the snowpocalypse virtual learning activities.
Absolutely, Katie. I would say at this point now, we have teachers regularly every week asking for a connected classroom. So I think that's certainly a measure that we can use, that the excitement and the momentum around having this blended space, it has certainly caught on across the district.
That's awesome. I totally agree. I think that's probably the best measure. A follow-up question about success rate. What was the success or completion rate of the program, and how did you address students who did not complete the makeup material? Did that happen?
From the district level, we actually did not address that. That was a very much so a local school decision. So what we did was provide for principals, if it was requested, metrics around who used what. And so if the principal had that expectation that people would, if all of his, 8th grade or 9th grade classrooms will use this tool and you must go forth and do this, we were able to provide metrics for them to address that if need be. But I think because it was such a partnership approach and we worked so well with the teachers, we didn't get a lot of that, that compliance type of need for data. It was really more, how else can we help and assist you guys? So we don't measure or we don't monitor what teachers do from here, but we definitely, let principals know there are tools available if you need that.
Hey, this has led to great discussion, I think. We've got another really interesting question from a participant. What do you think, how do you think this would work, or do you think this would work for summer projects for students?
Oh, yeah. It'll certainly work. Actually, we have had some conversation about doing a, what is it?
Extended learning or something they would call it?
Yeah, where they wanted the students to participate in a variety of just activities. Enrichment activities, exactly. So we are certainly open to seeing what other innovative things we can do with this whole blended space in the connected classroom.
I think that's a great idea. If someone's interested in doing that, I'd love to talk with you about how you plan to do it, and maybe we can all collaborate and figure out how to provide this for enrichment. I know our district has brought it up, but we've been so busy, we've not looked at it yet. And, even though it's just October, summer is really around the corner when it comes to planning something like that. So if someone else is interested, we're happy to plan with you all.
Yeah, I would second that in that I think it's a very interesting question, and I'll just go ahead and put this out there. I would love to invite you to speak for this series after you've tested the waters there, and share your success and what you've learned from the experience as well.
We'd be more than happy to do that, Katie. That sounds great.
All right, there have been a lot of great questions, so not asking for the questions to stop here, but I'm going to go ahead and move to a couple closing slides as we're getting close to the end of the hour, but please keep the questions flowing. We will continue to answer those. We're not switching it over and closing it off unless there are no more questions. But just a reminder, we'd love for you to download the BB K-12 Live app. Again, this series flows into the content in that application for on-demand, anywhere, anytime PD. If you can't get enough of the K-12 Blackboard Innovative Teaching Series, or you'd like to catch up on Blackboard World this summer, there's lots of amazing content there. And just, secondly, if you've got a topic idea or you'd like to present, please reach out to me. You can find me at @KatieGallagher on Twitter or katie.gallagher@blackboard.com. But we've really enjoyed the participation today and the great questions. Just a reminder that you'll be receiving a recording and a PDF of the slides in a few days, an invitation to participate in the online PLC that's designed to augment the series and create an avenue for ongoing collaboration and dialogue. So please accept it and join us on Monday, next Monday at 3:30 for Blackboard Skills to Pay the Bills. Looks like we may have another question. And yes, I need to correct my slide there. That's clearly not even an email address. So thanks for pointing that out. I will fix that before next week. I think I've had that same mistake on there every week this fall. So thank you for that note. But it is @blackboard.com, not .blackboard.com. But anyways, I wanted to thank Aleigha and Krasandra for sharing your amazing, hard, and quick work last year with the Polar Vortex and how you turned a challenge into not just a solution for that particular issue, but you really have you're stimulating blended learning across the entire district. So very exciting to hear your story. Thank you for sharing it with us and your expertise. We always learn so much from you every time we hear from you. So thank you both very much. And thanks for all the participation today, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.